Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast, The Great Internet Circus. And we are back again with a new episode. And firstly, I would like to thank all of our listeners for giving us wonderful emotional feedback. I think Yoga and I had tears, you know, when we heard such positive feedbacks, and we will definitely improve on things that you guys have pointed out, and we hope to make you prouder this time. So let's begin with our new episode. Yogita, how excited are you for our second episode?
God, we are making a podcast about my favorite topic, that's internet, and then we are going to talk about a day without it. Count me in. It's very exciting for me. And as I'll just continue with that. What are the feedback or what are the suggestions we received? It was really heartwarming to just hear from people that something we said resonated with them, and they're
Yeah,
willing to give us the kind words, which was really amazing
right.
to see, right?
True. Very true. And one thing that was the biggest compliment, I think, for us was that when my mother listened to the podcast, she's not very tech savvy. And she said the way you guys said it, it made me understand technology, which I think was our aim,
Yeah.
like we always said.
Yeah, the greatest thing we can achieve is to be the bridge between people who are not tech savvy and then the bridge between the technology, right? Which is a very special thing.
Exactly. Basically, a bridge between you and I somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes.
Techie, non-techie, I can see that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, can you
But
specify
so this time,
who's the techie one?
I think everyone know you're the techie one. I mean, come on. The passion on your face when I say technology is a very different one compared to mine. So now that everybody can see our faces and we have our videos on, I think it'll be a lot more fun. You'll see the goofy side of Yogita where she randomly teases me with weird expressions. So
Yeah,
that
and
is
I
going to
will say that's not
be
true, but go ahead.
झूठ बोलो, बार बार झूठ बोलो, जो भी बोल सकते हैं सब झूठ बोलो, जहां भी बोल सकते हैं झूठ बोलो.
but we'll find out in this episode. So starting with our episode, we are kind of moving away from the very thing that we started it, which is the internet, like how internet is ingrained in our lives. And today's topic is a day without internet, right? So I know this is a very out of the blue question, but Yoga, on top of your mind, I know it's everywhere, but what are the top five things where you use internet in? Any top five things?
Well, if I have to sit back and list things, I would say there are so many things. I mean, I get up with the internet and I sleep with the internet. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not good for your health, I've heard. But what can you do when you're in the industry? You're keeping up with the algorithms. You have to do it, right?
True.
And let's say
True.
top five things. I'd say first is music, definitely the music.
Right.
Next would be meditation. That's what I do.
Right.
uh, and then next would be exercising. Wow, the YouTube videos,
Right.
the content that
Eating.
has been created for the, let's say, last 2 3 years, it's enormous and it's really helpful, right?
Definitely.
But sometimes it
Yeah.
can go sideways, but yeah. And
Yeah.
next would be connecting with people. Yeah, as I was saying,
Yeah.
how we just reach a few people who we would never reach out to, right? There's a
True.
path
True.
to reach to them directly. So I think that would be another
True.
benefit. And then the last thing would be the marketing part, how that has dynamically changed with the rise of internet.
Changed.
I think that, did I say
Yeah.
five things? Yeah, those are the five things.
Yeah, I
Counted them?
counted it. Don't worry about it.
Of course you're there.
Yeah, yeah, I always count.
Yeah,
So
and
otherwise I would have picked on you.
yeah, and I was saying that I do 100 things that are related to internet. I'm saying that not just for me, because if we take the stats into account, we have almost 67% of the total population using internet
That's a lot.
every day. That's a lot,
That's a
which was
lot.
which has
Yeah.
increased tremendously from the invention of internet, right?
Right.
Which
Right.
is,
That's so true.
yeah, it's an enormous number. You say 67, that means almost 5 to 5.5 5 billion people out of 8 billion people,
People.
which is, although we haven't reached to the every corner, and when I say we, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
you, me, and internet. So
Yeah.
yeah, long way to go, I know, but we started with
Yeah.
just no one using internet, and then here we are. So it's a fast growing thing. It's the fastest growing thing, I would say, right? Yeah.
Definitely.
So that,
Definitely.
yeah. Coming back to your question, those would be my 5 things.
I think you have mentioned the five most important things. It kind of entails the whole of our day when you mention those five things. But just like now that we are imagining, okay, what if you could not use those, like the internet in those five things? So, can you tell me like any advantage? I mean, this is not even five, any advantage that you can think of when you realize that, oh, I don't have internet for today.
Well, well. It's like asking someone who's going to a gym every day. It's like asking them what would be the five advantages you can think of not going to a gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then again, if we are going to think about this scenario, I'm going to have there are going to be two scenarios again, that either I have a head start of, let's say, 6 months, which I'd prefer, minimum 6 months,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then there is,
Hibernation.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
there is direct internet cut, which is like, oh, one day I just woke up and then
Yeah.
there's notice that, oh, 24 hours there's no internet. What then,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You're right.
So I think we are going to take the later one in the account, right? That I just woke up
Yeah.
and then there is no internet.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's think about it. Yeah, I have some. So I've this book that I've kept, right here, that says Sophie's World, and I've been, meaning to read it for a very long time. Trisha,
Yeah.
it's when I say very long time, I do mean it, right?
Yeah.
So if there's no internet, my first important thing that I'd do is I'd read, which I think a lot of our
Very
audience would,
important.
audience would resonate
Yeah.
with. And even though there are ebooks and there are audiobooks, I would say taking a book into your hand, and just going through the pages and living the book, it's a different feeling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think that would be on the top of my list. Next would be
Reading.
brainstorming the idea, right? So that there's this book by Glennon Doyle, that's Untamed, in which she just talks about how shower can be a great place to get new ideas. Why? Because there's no internet. You can't use internet in the shower, right? So
Oh
I
my
think,
God.
yeah, so I think it would be a great day to have ideas. I'm not going to put good
Yeah. You're
ideas
right.
there because the
Just
machine
ideas.
number.
Yeah.
Yeah, just some
Yeah.
ideas. So I think I'd have a lot of ideas to do, a lot of, plans which you like uh, to just create. The next thing would be, I wouldn't say connecting with my friends because they live very far, but I
Far.
think it would
Yeah.
be connecting with my neighbors. You know how it is,
Yeah. We
right?
never do that.
We never
Yeah.
do
We never
that.
do that. We never feel
Yeah,
the need to do it.
yeah,
That's
and
true. That's very
so
true.
there would be a physical element in the meetings and in the interactions, which I think sometimes I
Very
do feel it's more important, that we have lost it
important.
somewhere. Yeah, so I think we'll have that. Um, what else? What else? What else? Huh. So it's been a while that I've measured my productivity. So if I say I have these things to do and I do not have the internet,
Yeah.
I'd say somewhere along this, in that scenario, my productivity will be basically measured,
Mm,
and I think I'd have a
yeah.
chance to
Yeah.
work on it, right? And then the
Right.
final thing
Right.
would be to go out in the world and do physical things, right? Just to walk around the corner without the phone or
You're right.
just being able to observe things. So it's one
You're
of the
absolutely right.
exercises. I think you went to the retreat, right? So it's one of the exercise we
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to do,
yeah.
that go around walking and you observe things. You see things you've not
Yeah,
never
you're
seen.
right.
So I think
You're right.
that sounds exciting. God, now that I've listed it, maybe I will try half a day without
Yeah,
internet.
maybe you should.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
internet
said half a
detox.
day. Yeah, yeah. 6 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what
All
would
right.
be your thing?
I think the advantage that I can think of is, how when you're a child, when you're a baby, you find things very interesting. Even the cloud, the way they move slowly when you're walking, or things like that. You notice these things, and you'll see the child always giggles at these small things, right? So that is what I think we get away from as we grow up. At the same time, we grew up with technology. We did not
Mhm.
grow up away from technology. It's not like we were born where, okay, Instagram and all was there. Definitely not. But
Mhm.
as we were growing up, it was always with us. Like, even in car rides, like we had our parents phone to play on and things like that. So maybe we kind of missed out on that. So if the internet is not there, I would like to not find happiness in the biggest things. For example, oh, my reel went viral, oh, I received so many followers, not those things that actually define happiness these days, but in the smallest of things, like just being conscious of living,
Yeah.
which is I definitely lack at that, definitely. So I always plan, oh, I'll work on this, I'll be conscious about walking the grass and stuff like that, but I always end up being on my phone or having airpods and listening to music, so not really paying attention around myself. So this is one major advantage, would be that there would definitely be an increase in consciousness if we don't have that little device
Mhm.
always to distract us.
Yeah, fair, small things and joys. I think, small joys. We've forgotten how the color of candy used to make us all, excited, and it was
Yeah,
the best thing that could happen, right?
exactly.
And that takes me back
Exactly.
to, as you said, we were not born with the internet, and it didn't reach us for a very long time, right? Now I know,
Yeah,
Drisha,
you're
you're
right.
younger, and you kind of did grow up with the internet, but I didn't, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's what I want our audience to know, that how how it was before it reached us, the internet. I mean, so
Yeah.
would you like to start?
Yeah, definitely. To all our listeners who are born after 2004, I think you can't relate, and I can't believe that you guys are grown-ups. But here we go.
Well,
I
they
really
have to,
can't
Drisha, they have
register.
to. Can't help it.
They have to know, but I can't register anyone born after 2000 as someone who is an adult, or they'll always be, oh, oh, you're a kid. So yeah. So moving on with that, like, yeah, when we grow up, internet was not so readily available.
Mhm.
Firstly, it was a very expensive commodity which was only there in the offices
Mhm.
and in the richest of the household.
Mhm.
Used to have just one computer, and that was it, with one connection, and that was only for, okay, papa has said you can download this project. That's it, for educational purposes only. It was not at all for recreational purposes. And at that time, when we were kids, it was more like Tata Sky, and those dishes were
Mhm.
very common, you know. And any kid who had a Tata Sky or Dish TV at home was really famous, because they could watch Doraemon whenever they wanted, in whatever
Yeah,
language they
what a
wanted.
luxury.
Yeah, exactly, it was a luxury, like it was the shit at that time. But as we moved forward, it was so readily available, everything. After a point of time, you want to record, you can record for free on YouTube. You want to do anything, it's all for free and out there. So again, like, circling back to it, we have lost the happiness that we used to get from the things that we take it as a given these days. you know, it's a very given thing that yeah, you can watch cartoon whenever you want to. You don't have to wait for a particular time for Oswald to come, right? So
Yeah.
so yeah, Oswald was my favorite after Shinchan. Yeah. So that
And the
so
Doraemon
that was
thing.
something. And Doraemon, of course, I would
Yeah.
love to have one. So that was something that changed, throughout the growing age. By the time we were teenagers, we had a lot more access to internet, and now so it's everywhere, But of course, you slightly would have maybe a little bit of a different experience with internet. I'm not calling you old. I mean, you are old, but what can we do? Moving on. So yeah, you can. I'm sure you have a little bit of different experience. So please
Okay. I'm
tell
just
us
glad
and
you're
later shower us with your blessings as your old person.
I'm
So
just
yeah.
glad that you've said little bit of different experience and not just completely different
Yeah.
experience. And okay, I'm glad to be older than you. Have quite a few experiences. You should definitely respect me more, Trisha. Yeah, I'm gonna write it down in my
we,
diary.
we'll talk about that later, maybe. We'll take that up later, yes.
Okay, but I think I have similar story as well. The internet being one of the expensive things, and then
Yeah,
and catching the shows on particular time, right? And I have this
yeah.
very vivid memory that once I was in school, and then I had this favorite show, Hatim. Do you know Hatim, Trisha?
Oh, yeah. I've heard of it because you're my sister's age, so yeah, I've heard of it.
Okay,
I don't
okay.
really know.
Yeah.
बंद करो हाथ जोड़ के मैं
So it's a show where the hero has this sword, and then he's got this hobbit friend, and then they go on the adventures, and it was really really captivating at the time.
Hmm.
So I used
Right.
to run to my house literally
Hmm.
to catch that series, and I used to come, and I remember I just used to stay like this because people have come and they've just pushed my mouth closed. Like, at least keep that in mind, right?
My God.
So that was, I think, that was the fun of it because you knew it. Once you
Yeah.
miss it, you're never going to get it back.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
so that was the gist of it. That was the whole life without internet. You know you're not going to
True.
get it back, so you have to chase it. You have to chase it with
Right.
passion. So
Right.
that was my
That's
day,
true.
I think, right?
That's really cool. Actually, like you said, na, that if you miss it and everything. So I remember that weekends used to be really busy for those people who would follow the TV series Saas Bahu Sajish
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
because weekdays they would release new episodes, but on
Mhm.
the weekends they would run that episode on repeat. So weekends were like very dedicated to only Sony movies and stuff, which would show movies, not a repeat telecast of things. So there was a very beautiful schedule which had fallen into place, that okay, routinely things on weekdays and leisurely things like movies and new stuff that you can explore on weekends, which now, because of convenience, there's no
Mhm.
such routine now, like everything's everywhere.
Yeah.
So moving forward, I read somewhere that there's this idea that maybe people would become more social and more in touch with friends and family if they
Mhm.
didn't use internet. But like, according to me, this idea is slightly mistaken.
Mhm.
But before giving my point of view, I would like to ask you that, do
Mhm.
you think if internet is not around, we would suddenly become, we are already social animals, we would suddenly become more social and interact more with our friends and families?
Well, if by that statement you mean that having face to face, unfiltered
Hmm.
conversations, then the answer is definitely yes. Because now we have
Okay.
an option, even with WhatsApp. And for the future generation, WhatsApp is a tool where you can text, with your thumbs. So
Not not teleport yourself.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah. So with the option of deleting everything, with the option of
Yeah.
just hitting the backspace, we have
Yeah.
that filter somewhere, right? So we think
Yeah.
twice,
You're
thrice
right.
before doing anything, before putting anything out in the world. So I think
Right. You're right.
without the internet, we have this unfiltered conversations, raw conversations, which I do, to be honest, which I do crave, because I've had
Hmm.
one of
Hmm.
few of those, before your
Yeah.
time, Trisha.
You're right.
Sorry. So I've had few of those, and I do miss it somewhere. But then again,
Hmm.
if I take the whole scenario into in this conversation, then we'll have a different point of view.
Hmm.
Then I wouldn't say
Yeah.
I'd be able to talk to 100 of my friends, and that doesn't
Yeah.
mean that I talk to 100 of my friends, but I know that I
You
can
have the
whenever.
option to. Yeah.
Yeah, have
Yeah.
the option to,
Exactly.
and that's always a good thing, right?
Hmm.
Because if
Hmm.
Trisha is going to
Hmm.
be in Bangalore and I want to tell her about this podcast I want to start, I wouldn't be able to, which would really be
You're
sad.
right.
Let's be honest, right? So I think there's
You're right.
this. If we think about connections, we have to find this balance without and with internet. But then just purely saying that, oh, without everything, without internet everything will be fine, is just saying, again, like without gyms everyone would be fit if they go running. No.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah,
You're.
you'd
You're
have to
right.
have
You're
different
right.
mediums to get to a point of connectivity, right?
True. True.
So
True.
do you rely more on the internet for the connections, Priya? Because you do talk to me a
I
lot.
yeah, yeah, I think like that's what my parents' problem is somewhere, that you don't go out and talk to real humans. You're always on laptop, always on phone. But the thing is that
I am real.
I think it yeah, I'll let my mom know that. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, she must have thought, oh, it's some imaginary friend.
Oh my God. Okay, that's a violation, I would say. But but even I think it's a very personality based answer, because if I talk from my experience, I've often heard old people say that, oh, when you travel in metros now, everybody's on the phone, nobody's talking to anybody and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I would prefer it that way. I'm sorry, but I don't think I've reached that kind of being a social animal that, if I'm sitting at a bus stand, even without phone, I don't think I would strike up a
Hmm.
conversation at a randomly that, oh, I'm Trisha, how are you? Right? So I think even like as a teenager, a lot of introverts can, relate with this part, that when I did not have a phone or TV in my room or whatever, I was still at home only, chilling with myself, maybe, but I was at home and peace. So I think it's a very personality based question. But yeah, maybe for people who want to talk, there aren't enough people to reciprocate that now,
That's a
because
good point. That's a
having a
good point.
phone is now a barrier. Yeah, like having a phone is a barrier. If I have my earphones on and a phone, you
Mhm.
know that I'm not open to having a conversation with you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if I'm looking outside the window here and there, you'll be more comfortable in with coming and striking a conversation with me, right?
Yeah.
So of course, like, phone is a barrier, but some people may prefer to have that barrier.
Mhm.
So that's a very subjective thing to say. But moving on, like, from this topic of how we are away from the internet, how we are not, I think there is a balance where it will create a certain kind of restlessness.
Mhm.
Like, oh, internet is not there, I don't know how my friend is doing and what am I supposed to do, look at the clock or something. But at the same time, there will be a certain kind of relief. Okay, I don't have to check my Gmail, I don't have to check MS Teams. Something that we all have dreaded in the past. I think yeah, definitely, when Gmail was down and I was not receiving any work emails, I was extremely happy that morning,
The sigh of relief.
right? And Exactly, a huge sigh of relief. Exactly, and there are still so many corporate memes that we go through. That, oh, I wish MS Team is down on Monday. Oh, I wish that is down on Monday. That is okay. We take it as a joke,
Mm,
but somewhere there is a kind of resentment with connection all the time.
mm,
Anybody can contact you anytime. It's not like, okay, end of the working hours, I pack my stuff and go, you can't contact me. It's not that. So that 24/7 connectivity is also bothering people somewhere and entering their personal space. So it's funny how the same time technology is acting as a barrier,
mhm.
to not let other people come into your space. At the same time, it is acting a very permeable layer where anybody can come and
Can
talk
just
to you
ping
and
you.
connect with you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anybody can just ping you.
Well,
So
can I
that is
just take a
something,
moment to
yeah,
just, say
yeah.
this that without all of it, I wouldn't have my job. So I'm not going to agree with you 100%. Because why would people need digital marketing without digital scenario? Just putting it out there, just letting the internet gods know
We
that
love our future employers and current employers as well. We love
yes,
MS Teams. We love Zoom. Can't wait for Monday,
झूठ बोलो, बार
right?
yes, can't wait for Monday.
Best day.
Best day of
Best
my
day.
life.
Please contact us. Please
Yes.
send mails. Love it. Especially on Saturday nights.
God, that's the dream.
Right. So, like, okay, now let's, all fun and games aside, let's touch on a slightly more sensitive topic, which is going on in a lot of countries, and there are very diverse opinion on this. So, about government imposed internet ban, right? For example, it was in Saudi. They're slowly relaxing it as tourism is coming. It is in Iran, unfortunately, right?
Yes.
So even, but there are, at times there are certain situations where it's unfortunate that it is happening, right?
Mm,
Because somewhere the government doesn't want the world to know what is happening.
yes.
But still, we are in this world where we very well know what's happening in Iran, and the whole world stands with them.
Mm,
And we hope that they get justice and the right medium they can put their word across the world. But let's focus back to India.
mhm,
So, in the past few years, we have seen a lot of government imposed internet ban, starting from article abolition in Kashmir to like when there was recently a riot over a certain statement made by a politician,
mhm.
and there were certain casualties because of that, and internet was banned in that area. So what is your all in all opinion about government imposed internet ban?
Well, it is a sensitive topic, right? Because today it no longer is an option to have the internet connection, right? As I was saying, you do you are connected with the whole world at one point. And then this one
Right,
day government
right,
is coming and saying that, oh, you can't have that anymore. Even it's
right.
for a smaller time. And if we look at the numbers, Trisha, it's been more than 600 times. It's around 650 times, right?
Oh my,
So
I can't
that's a lot,
imagine a lot.
right? So
Yeah,
if for the 600 time internet government is coming and saying you can't have internet, it is a serious topic. It's something, it's much more of a necessity now to having internet, to
hmm.
be connected with the world, to raise your voice and to let the world know what's happening with you, with your community. So I think
Right.
going with that, I would say I'm going to go, at the moment, I'm going to say that government should not have the complete authority. And then again,
Right.
people, our audience can disagree, and let us know what they think about this. But that's where I'm going. That government should not have
Right.
complete control over something like internet. There
Right.
should be a hybrid mode. There should be a way where people are heard, right, about this. So even if
Right.
the topics are sensitive, even it's for the uh, betterment of the society, but have to have that line where the government doesn't cross it, where they don't just come and say, "Oh,
True.
it's no longer your thing," right?
True. Very true. Right. So on that note, I will leave our viewers with a very open-ended discussion on this, because I'll bring counterpoint to what just Yogita said. So government, all like we have through the internet ban, we have seen how government has always had a motive behind banning the internet. Unfortunately, with the places that we mentioned, it was to suppress the voice of so many people. But India is a very religiously also a volatile country, right?
Yeah.
So at times we see how internet is used as a weapon
Mm.
to instigate people in the wrong way. Like it's it has become a joke how WhatsApp is the hub of fake news, right? Like
Yeah,
there are
definitely.
so many
The family
conspiracy
groups.
theories that yeah, of course, like the infamous, I can't say it out loud, but yeah, that group. So there are so many false narratives which are spread across the internet. So when there comes a very sensitive situation, just like in Kashmir, when new laws were taking place, the government banned internet as a way to stop communication with the outside world, so that people so that the propaganda was not created, right? This is one set of viewpoint, that because so that the propaganda is not created, so that people are not given the false information about how and why the government is doing what, right? So
Mm.
that is one of the reasons why government ban took place in Kashmir. The other aspect was, yeah, of course, like Kashmir is such a sensitive place that it was that, oh, they it was suppressing people. Now giving a very personal insight on this. So, since I belong to the military background, whenever my father went for a particular task which may or may not have been sensitive, he could not use his phone. There was no connectivity. That was not because someone wanted to suppress his voice, but it was because of safety reasons, right?
Mm.
So, one question that I would leave open to everybody after our podcast is, should the government have the right to impose internet ban when it is for national security? And what should be the bar of national security? So, that
Yeah.
is a question that I would leave everyone with to think over, give examples. And this is one question that I genuinely want to ask every guest who comes here, because
Yeah.
more the opinions, the more knowledgeable you get. So I can't really wait on that. And while we are on this topic, there is a country called North Korea, which is very isolated, as we all know. So you
Do we?
know about the
Do we
whole.
know? Do we? Okay,
That's a,
you can cut it if you want. Do we really know North Korea exists? It's just something that we have made up. It's just, again, just putting it out there.
I was just talking on call, and my sister said that they were discussing this conspiracy on whether Jharkhand is real or not. And now you've put it in my mind that is North Korea real or not.
Well, Jharkhand is. I've
I
gone
am
to
just confused.
National Treasure. Come on, I've ran on a track in Jharkhand. So it definitely is real.
Yeah. So North Korea. So where it is very, that country is very isolated. We don't know much about it. All we know is the atrocities that take place. and there the internet is very limited to the people who are on a very high position, just so that they can import luxury goods
Mm.
from abroad, and it is of no other use whatsoever. So how do you think people who have been exposed to this abundance of information, just like you and I,
Mm.
and the people who have been isolated from even the idea that something like this exists, how do you think our lives, our perspective, and our future is different from each other?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind, and before touching that, I'd like to just, repeat what you just said, that some of the people, just people in the high positions, right? They have
Yeah,
the access to internet, right? So that means
yeah,
the people with power have the
yeah.
access, and the power is going to be a determining factor for future for all of us, right? Even with
You're
with
right.
the rise of technology, even with the AI, I think you will know Harari argues pretty well in his book that the difference isn't going to be about the money or the education, it's going to be about the power, and then who's
Yeah,
on,
you're right.
in the first in the engine room of the train and who's on the last room of the train, right? So that's what it is in the North Korea. So powerful people have the internet, powerful people get to something than the general people. Now coming back to people who do not have access to internet, it's a god. It's like do they even know that other people have access to internet?
No, they
Because
don't.
yeah, it's the
Yeah,
ignorance, it's knowing that, oh, there's a world beyond and then you cannot access it. It's a limited knowledge. And I know that sitting there, they'd be thinking, oh, we have the knowledge, everything we could ever have. But now that we are here, we are looking from outside, we know that the knowledge we have is pretty different from
exactly.
them, right? At least the access of knowledge. I'm not going to use all of the knowledge, but I have the access, right? And it's the
Right.
going back to a previous conversation, it's the option. It's the, going back to a conversation, it's the options. We have the option,
Yeah.
we can choose to use our internet, but we can choose to access the data. It's for them, there's no data, for them there's no knowledge. That's what the life is,
Right.
right? So again, the conversation we had, that the life before internet, that's what they have. We've grown so much. So just to take an example, the population is growing 1.5%, right? 1.05%, and the internet users are growing by 8%. That's almost
Oh my
8 times,
God.
right? So the world is growing
Yeah.
so fast, and they are not part of the revolution, especially the digital revolution. That so
Exactly.
the basic theory of evolution is survival of the fittest, right?
Yeah, you're
So
right.
if you look at the bigger picture, so when we say fittest, now it's human made fittest. Do you think it comes to their
Yeah.
survival? It definitely does, right? So I
Yeah,
think
you're
that's the
right.
basic
You're
difference
absolutely right.
between, I'm not going to say us, between people who have the complete access to internet, people who do not,
We
right?
do
You can
not.
of course
Yeah.
add more to it, more to this.
So, so one thing, as we are reaching towards the end of the podcast, one thought I would leave at the end was that we often hear people say that technology is making us feel isolated. It's making our generation go into isolation. This word is thrown out like anything. It's very casually used.
Yeah,
There's one,
that with my mother's, everything is happening because of the food. Like your head is aching, it's because of
exactly,
the. Do you have fever?
exactly.
It's because of the food.
It's because of the phone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
everything is because of that. So one thing we forget that there's this North Korean defector. Her name is Naomi Park. And one thing that she said that really stuck with me was that people talk about how they are feeling isolated with internet in such progressive countries like ours. And she says that if you know that you are in isolation, then it's not isolation. And that was so deep that yes, if I know I'm in isolation, I know what is outside, right? And then that's not isolation. She explained how she was there in North Korea, and when she came out, there was so much information that her head used to ache like anything. And she said that I was actually in isolation because I didn't know I was in isolation.
That
So
is an interesting statement.
yeah, so I would like I would like everyone to, think about this thought, and be, of course, be grateful for whatever opportunities and freedom that we have for the internet. And at the same time, think about isolation and how we have so much opportunity to get out of our so-called isolation. So yeah, Yogita, do you want to add anything as we reach the end of our
Well, I
second episode where we had some deep talk also? Yeah.
well, I just want to ask you, Trisha, what would be the top thing that you'd miss about the internet?
Reels, Instagram Reels. Hands down, Instagram Reels. I mean, come
Well,
on.
you took
There's
so
nothing
much
you
time.
cannot
I
find
almost,
there.
for a second, I almost thought, just talking to people or talking to me or something like that. But yeah, I do get it. Do I come second?
Sorry, maybe. No, you topped the chart. I thought except humans. So I was like, okay, Instagram. We can communicate through Instagram Reels also. Fine.
Yeah, we can leave
So yeah,
secret
Instagram
messages.
Reels.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course. Like I can dance and leave some message for you. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah. I don't do reels, Trisha. I don't do reels.
Okay, okay, fine. Mm.
Yeah, good to know. Good to know. No, reels have, I think it's one of the topics that we definitely should discuss. Just reels and
Correct.
not,
Yeah.
just reels, just Instagram reels. Because if we take a
Sure.
look at other platforms where reels or short videos are done, YouTube or even when we say TikTok, there's not, if we think about the audience, it's not wide enough. But if we think about Instagram, it's the widest audience, right? So Instagram, Facebook, we
India
can just
banned TikTok, lost a huge market. It's not wide enough now.
uh, so I think we
True.
will make an episode about this.
Definitely, I think, yeah.
With this last PS, I think I'm going to close this episode. And the PS is, I remember saying things about family groups. So if my family is listening to this, and if Trisha's family, we love you. We adore your messages. We love that you send us the good morning, good evening messages, and we love the especially the
Sure,
motivational quotes.
sure.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
love
sure.
it. And all my friends who are living far, I would not go a day without the internet, okay? Because I appreciate you. Because I remember saying that, oh, I'd like it without internet. Yeah, so with that, I think we can close this, Trisha, right? It's been
Definitely.
fun, it's been amazing, it's been quite, almost, wait, it's been almost facing a horror of ours that what if the internet goes out,
Yeah,
so
deepest, darkest fear.
one of those. Yeah, so I think we can end this episode and go back to watching our recorded videos and series.
Yes.
Have a nice rest of the day, everyone, and bye bye.
Bye.